What's going on, YouTube, and welcome to episode 81 of the Disco Era u.s.s Enterprise tutorial. I'm Zero Elite, and I just want to thank you very much for tuning into today's episode. And if you haven't, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, helping me in supporting the channel. I can't thank you enough for that. And today we have about a 26-minute video. We're going to be wrapping up our Disco Era Enterprise. Only one episode left after this one that will air tomorrow. But I want to jump in and get a couple of last minute things done before we wrap this up on the outside of the ship. And we reworked the lower side of our saucer. We're going to be focusing on the upper side today. We'll have one or two minor things we have to add on the lower side in this episode, but we'll be focusing primarily on the upper. Now, one thing that I'm going to be changing, and you can tell by this photo that you really can't see a lot of the hull lines on the Disco Era Enterprise. Really the only lines that you can see are these strips, like these rings going around. But Enterprise does have those hull lines, which is originally why I did it this way. This would be a closer representation of what our ship looks like now. So basically what we're going to be doing is we're going to be getting rid of some of those hull lines to make something that looks a little bit more like this, and I think it's going to look a lot prettier, to be perfectly honest with you. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it. First thing we're going to be doing is extending out this strip right here, or excuse me, this circle that's surrounding the bridge. Now, what I'm adding right along here, extra row of half slabs. You can go ahead and do this along with me because we're not going to be sticking with exactly what we have here, but we are going to be using these blocks that we just added. Basically, the half slabs going closer into the circle, we're going to be removing all those, but all the half slabs that we're just now adding, we're going to be keeping all of those. And that'll make a little bit more sense in a few minutes when I do another pass. When we come back around, we're going to be deleting the half slabs on our inner parts, but also want to make sure that we're not deleting any of the white concrete blocks. I actually had a question today regarding my builds on what type of materials I use on my ships, if I can provide a list. And to be perfectly honest with you, you can use any type, or excuse me, you can pretty much use all of the concrete colored blocks. That's what I use primarily for this build. I also used it for the Discovery. I used it for the Kelvin. I'm using it on the Cerritos. I think those concrete blocks, they come out with a much cleaner look. And then anytime I have to use a half slab, as you can see, I use the white concrete block, or excuse me, I use the white quartz half slabs. I really only veer out of that when I absolutely have to. I found that for 99% of the time, I've been able to work within, just using the concrete blocks. I don't know if that's going to stay that way on every single build. That could vary, but if you want to get, I think, a much cleaner and prettier look out of your build, I would highly recommend using the concrete blocks because it just, like I said, it's going to give you a cleaner look. But anyway, get back in a little bit what I have going on here. You can see now we're making a second pass, and now we're getting rid of the half slabs behind the row that we just added. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be filling that blank space in with a white concrete block. So essentially what we're doing here is that we're just extending our circle that's directly surrounding the bridge by 2 blocks. Because I don't know, as I was looking at my ship, I thought that what I did with this area didn't look bad. I could have left it alone. I don't think anybody would have batted an eye at it, but I think that ultimately this is just going to work out a little bit better. And it'll look a little bit nicer too. It just kind of stuck out with that white strip sitting right here, like especially right here, like it just it kind of stands out like a sore thumb, and extending out the hull. And just making the half slab a lip, I think that'll make it look a lot better. Once we finish this, we're going to be making, I believe, hopping down to the lower part of the saucer, excuse me, and making the last changes that we're going to make on that, and then we'll come back up, and then we'll be editing the remainder of the saucer on the upper section. And to give you an idea of what we're going to be working on tomorrow, there's actually only one thing left to do, and that is the registration numbers. And I'm looking forward to doing that. After that's done, that's going to after tomorrow's episode, that is going to wrap up the Disco Era Enterprise tutorial. So we're going to be landing on 82 episodes total. So that's not too bad. Still a little bit more than what I was planning on it being, but I think all things considered, I've done a decent job here getting out as much information as I possibly can regarding this tutorial. And again, if you've coming to this channel for the first time and just seeing this video, definitely check out this whole series, because I'm really offering you a platter of information on how to build your own enterprise. A lot of really good building tips to go off of that you can really apply to any starship, just using the same methods that I've used. And I'm not the type of person that likes to hide my information, like as far as what I do. I love to share my information with everybody. I feel that that's just something that I need to do, because that's just kind of how it was for me when I first started playing Minecraft. I met a lot of very friendly people that were very welcoming and showed me how to do a lot of cool stuff. So that's just something I wanted to return the favor on the community. So that's a lot of the reasons why I'm doing this, and also because I actually do really enjoy building, and this tutorial series has actually been a lot of fun to do. Even though it's taken quite a bit of time to do it, that's why I've been saying that this is something that I'm not going to stop doing, and you can look forward to these tutorials continuing on for indefinitely. And I think that's going to be pretty cool. There's going to be a lot of cool stuff that I have planned in the future. I should have more information on when the Cerritos episodes are going to start coming out. It slight possibility it could be next week, but I wouldn't anticipate it. I really have to get on the rest of this week and this weekend and get that going, and then get it built to a point that I can take a screenshot of it to have that as a thumbnail for all my videos, because that's something that I just want to make sure that I have. And it also give me some time to iron out anything that needs to be ironed out while I'm doing the tutorial. But we're definitely, I'm excited about a lot of the content that I have coming in the future, both on Minecraft and Starship Evo. And if there's any builds that you would like to see me do in the future, drop a comment below. You never know. If it's something that I might be into, I might just build it. Even if I don't let that discourage you, because I might do it in a future build. Anyway, get back in a little bit what we got going on here. So we've extended out our circle. Now I'm going back and I'm getting rid of this gray detail line. We don't really need it, and we're just going to delete it off. So we're just going to delete those blocks and replace that with white concrete. And see, I love using this white concrete too, because it's not like a straight white. It almost has like an off-white gray color to it, which I thought was perfect for a lot of starships that you can do on here, especially like the TOS Enterprise / Disco Enterprise. The Enterprise D, I think, would be another ship that you can definitely use this the white concrete as a base for your ship, and I think it would come out fantastic. That's something that I'm planning to do on my build as well. In fact, I was having people ask me about doing large scale enterprise Ds, and that is coming in also when I'm done with the Cerritos, me doing a full or a large scale enterprise D tutorial. That's going to be a ton of fun, but that will be a challenge in its own. But more to come on that in the near future as we get closer to that build. But right now, I think we're looking pretty good. I think that change that we made here, it makes this area look just a little bit bigger, and I like where that's going. Next thing we're gonna have to do on here is gonna have to get rid of some of these hull lines, because like I said, this doesn't look bad, but the way I have the hull lines on here, it's very Constitution class refit. You know, it looks a lot like Shatner's Enterprise, or like the Kelvin era Enterprise. Like you could really see those hull lines on the older Enterprise from like TOS. Like it really wasn't a lot of lines that you can see in it. Um, you can see now that I'm going on the underside of my hull on all of our hull line cuts. Uh, we added in half slabs. I did not finish doing that from last night's episode, so I'm going to bang that out real quick, and then we'll go up to the top, and we'll continue on with our detailing. The very last thing I'm going to do on this build actually is a showcase video, because we've spent quite a bit of time on this ship now, and may not remember everything as we've done it. So let's take this opportunity to kind of, you know, take a tour of it, I mean, and enjoy it. I'm really looking forward to that. That won't be on Friday's episode. Like I said, Friday's episode will be for the NCC 1701 registration. So more than likely, the showcase video that might actually come out on Friday along with episode 82. If it doesn't, then I'll come out with next week's videos. But I think more than likely I'll end up having it come out next week, because I don't want to get in too much of a habit of releasing a ton of videos in one day unless I really feel like I need to. Been trying to keep it to one video a day. But then again, that could change in the future too, as the channel gets more popular and I start getting a demand for more content and more views and more subscribers. That will definitely change as it comes in. So I'm just at this point just going to roll with the punches as far as the content that I'm able to produce within that demand. But so far, looking pretty good. I think that I would have liked to have actually have gotten the Disco Era Enterprise done a little bit sooner, but really hasn't been too bad. I think that we're just really getting at the point where that, and it feels like it, that this build is done. Like there's a couple more rooms that I could do, and like I've talked about in previous episodes, I might come back to the Disco Enterprise in the future, like once Pike's new show comes out, and like they have some rooms that my ship doesn't have. I think I might take that opportunity to do those rooms on this build. But I think for the most part, like we've covered everything that we really do need to cover on this ship, and I'm quite proud with how it came out. It's not perfect, the interior. I know that to each his own, but again, you could really do this interior any way that you wanted. I wanted to challenge myself with it though, and I wanted to try to build something that really stayed true to the TOS Enterprise while kind of like infusing a little bit of the Discovery era Enterprise into it. I don't know whether I fully succeeded with that or not. I think that's debatable, but at the end of the day, I'm pretty happy with how this came out. Anyway, our ship is looking pretty good. You can see that I got a couple of extra windows added in. I'm not going to do a tutorial on how to do that on the lower hull. We'll just show them in the showcase, because if you've done this build with me long enough, you should be able to add these windows on your own. These larger bay door windows, that's right in actually engineering. I will show you where those are, so like you can pause it, and if you want to copy it and incorporate it into your Enterprise, you can definitely do so. But yeah. Anyway, let's get back into the upper hull. So I was messing around here seeing if I was going to get rid of that line or not. You can see I've already started, and I got rid of the two gray lines here and here. And we're just going to go up. So the main point that I want to make right here is make sure that you do not delete your circles. Circle rings are very important. We need to maintain those as much as possible. So the straightaway lines and the angled lines are the ones that we're going to be focusing on. And I think once we make that change, it's really gonna make excuse me, it's really gonna make the upper side of this saucer section pop and help to sell even more that it's the Disco era Enterprise, like the way it has the rings on it. Because I think like even the TOS Enterprise, it doesn't have those rings like that on the upper side of the saucer. But I think that it's a beautiful design trait, and I wanted to make sure that I incorporated it into my build. You could already see like that that looks pretty good. I mean, if you really wanted to, you could leave that straightaway hull line there, like the indentation. I'm gonna be taking out that middle line there. Um, but if you just wanted to delete the gray to make it not be so prominent, you could definitely do that also. say that at this point it would be appropriate where you can take liberties with even the outside of your ship if you want to, because at the end of the day, this is your build and do whatever you want to do with it. Make it your own. This tutorial is just designed to give you some ideas on things that you could do, and if you really wanted to, you could copy this build, and I wouldn't have a problem with it. And that's why I've put this tutorial up here for you, so you can do just that. Because I know that it can be, sometimes it could be a hassle coming up with what your designs are going to be. And I think some of it is not even that I'm better than some of you at building, it's just that I've been doing it longer. So I have just a little bit more experience with the build on doing different things on here. And I've done it enough times to where I have kind of like an arsenal of different building structures that I know how to do on here. And, you know, I can do variations of them and everything. And as you go to and you're doing your ships, as you get a couple of them under your belt and you get a little bit better, you'll start building up your own building library of things that you like to put on your interior and details that you like to make on the outside of your ship. And it's just going to be a layering process that as you go, you're going to get better and better little by little. So right now we're just going to focus on those straightaway lines and curved lines, getting rid of the gray on each side. Um, we're not going to worry about the half slabs just yet, except in these catty corners, the angle. We want to maintain our circle, so I'm going to be slightly editing this. This way our circle is maintained. And see, that looks fantastic. Now, let's do the same thing on the right side, and this is one of my tips that I always practice when I'm building. Well, 90% of the time, that if I do one thing on one side, do it on the other. This way it helps to keep you consistent and keep your build in a proportion and keep all sides accurate, well, as accurate as you can make. I've found that especially like if one side, if it's same on the left side as the right, then it's probably best at that point to repeat that process right after, because it'll help you to um, maintain that accuracy. And we've got one more row to do on this angle. And I believe what I settle on is the hull lines that are going at a straight, within a straight line, or I'm actually going to delete those. Like I was saying earlier, but the ones at a catty corner, we're going to keep those. Um, so in a few moments, as soon as we get done getting rid of the rest of these gray lines on all the straightaways, we're going to be going back and deleting the half slabs. See this whole detail, we're going to have to fill that in. Looking good. Got one more to do on this side. Remember, we want to maintain our circle, so let's fix this. And now we're going to delete this gray line. You can see I kept that box there. I'm actually going to leave that because it looks like a hull like intersection point, and the Disco Enterprise doesn't have that per se. That's more something that is on like the Constitution class refit. But when this is done and we zoom out, I don't think that you'll disagree either. I think that the stuff that I decided to take out, this is definitely a case again where less is more. And I've just, that's not a rule that I'm going to apply to every single build, but it's something that I found that really it's appropriate for this era ship, because you know there should be a level of simplicity to it, because that's how the TOS Enterprise was. Now that's not to say that certain areas we can't update it, which is what we've done, but still we want to pay respect and homage, or at least try to that era. All right, so now our straightaway lines, we're going to start to delete our hull line. I'm making sure that, again, we're not going into our circle. Want to maintain that on both rows. You can kind of get an idea of how this is going to look now. I think it's really going to have a nice and clean look. And actually, I didn't even say anything, but the screenshot from yesterday's episode and the thumbnail for yesterday's episode and the thumbnail for today's episode is actually the finished ship. Well, with a slight detail. The NCC registration is slightly bigger, but I'll make that a little bit smaller for the showcase. Because in tomorrow's episode, we're going to be focusing on how to do the registration number. I do it once over, a little bit bigger, and then I come back again. I do the outline for the smaller version of it. So I show you how to do it, but I don't spend the time to actually redo it. But I show you exactly where it needs to go. But we'll get into that tomorrow, and don't worry, I will have your back on getting the registration number done, because that is not an easy task to do. It can be a pain in the butt, because I always found that something somewhere is like hanging off the side, and it just doesn't look right as far as like when you put those numbers there. So you're either set on like you pretty much have to do the registration numbers going straight, and that never looks good, because that's not how it was on any of the ships. It has that curve that it goes along with the saucer, so that's what we're going to be doing. And I think what I ended up with, it came out fantastic. I'm looking forward to showing that tomorrow. But man, look at that hull line now. I mean, I think that looks so clean in comparison to what we had. And yeah, this ship has those hull lines. We saw in the beginning of this episode when I pulled up the screenshots of the model that those lines are there. But when you look at screenshots from the show, those lines are so insignificant you can barely see them from a distance. So that is my main reason for deleting it on here, because I really do feel like this change that we're making right here is really going to help sell it that this is the disco era Enterprise. Well, it's going to help because, again, all this is a layering process, just doing one thing after the other. And now we're at the point where we're really able to enjoy the fruits of our labor, where all of these parts that we've spent the last 3 months working on, now they've all finally come together. And I think, all things considered, this build came out great. I'm very happy with it. If you did enjoy this tutorial, let me know in the comments section. Definitely would love to hear from you. If you're not working on this tutorial anymore, you're working on something else, whatever, hey, just let me know what you are working on. Definitely love and enjoy talking to the community regarding their builds. All the new stuff that you have going on, that definitely inspires me on doing different builds as well, which is why I've been trying to branch out a little bit on Starship Evo. I will start doing a little bit more on Minecraft, but I haven't had that many requests lately. The Cerritos was my top request, that and the Enterprise D, so that's why I'm doing those 2 tutorials. But if there's any other tutorials that you'd like to see me do, either big or small, let me know in the comments section. You never know if I might end up doing it. Anyway, we are almost done here deleting our hull line on this row. We have to do this last part right here, and then we have a couple more rows to cover around the ship, and then we'll be done. But we're getting down into the last 5 minutes of this episode, and hard to believe that 20 minutes has already flown by. But we're really jamming. All right, and let's fill in that last part. Yeah, see, that has such a clean look to it. I really like it. And we're going to leave those angled hull lines. Those are going to be the only ones that we leave. And I think that will give enough of an impression that the ship does have hull lines, but not overdoing it. Again, I think that's very appropriate for this ship. And it's these decisions that you have to consider when you're building your ship, because sometimes it can be a problem. Well, not necessarily a problem, but it requires some type of solution. And I think that sometimes you just have to take a step back every once in a while and analyze your ship, which is why you'll always see me, after I build something, I zoom out, take a look at it. Sometimes I'll settle on it, leave, and then come back later and make a change on it. I let it marinate for a while, I like to call it. Sometimes you just gotta let it marinate and come back to it later, take a look at it, and then try to attack it again with a slightly different approach, which is exactly what we've done here. And man, look at that. That looks fantastic. That's not perfect, but that's about as close as I can get it to the Disco era Enterprise on the upper side of the saucer. There's not that much more that we can do. On this circle point, we're going to get rid of our darker gray pinstripe just on this row, because this is supposed to really just be a slant on the hull. Um, in a perfect world, I really wish, you're just gonna keep hearing me talking about it until they add it into the game. But colored half slabs, Mojang, Microsoft, come on, I need this in my life. I really do. I think a lot of people need it in their lives on Minecraft, because just think of all the different things that you can make. Even if you just stick to blocks, I mean, in a perfect world, I'd love them to add, different shapes, triangles, squares, hexagons, you name it. Just having all sorts of different options on building. I see no reason why not. But in the very least, at least give us a variety of what we currently have. And I think if I had half slabs alone, colored half slabs, I could truly transform this build and make it look spot on perfect. Um, but we're going to make do where we have to. I don't think that the white half slabs are that much of a deal breaker, especially when you zoom out. Really, the only time that you can really see them where they stick out like a sore thumb is when you get really close to them. But at the end of the day, I don't think it looks bad. So that's the only reason why I'm just kind of running with it. I could have went with the gray half slabs, and I actually did try that, but those, like the gray ones, they stuck out even worse than the white ones. So it was just kind of like lesser two evils. I'll just go with this one. Oh, I missed two blocks right here. Let's swap those out. And just making those changes, I really feel that we've slightly transformed our upper part of our saucer. Just going in, double checking, making sure that every single corner, every single line is consistent. The changes that we've made, so I'm just going back and double checking. So I could see at these points right here, missed a block. At all these points with the slant line, I need to just double check those to make sure that I've taken out the gray. I did on this side, but I have a white block. This, excuse me, a sea lantern. We'll replace that with a white block. And we've got to do this side too. And that's a fail. And that's one of the reasons why, if you do one thing on one side, do it on the other. Because see, just like that, if I didn't go back and double check, I would have just left it and never would have known that my build wasn't being consistent. So shame on me, but that's okay. Still went back, double checked it. Now you can see what I mean by those all connecting points. I think that actually looks good, and it looks really appropriate, kind of like the way that they're angled. Because again, the Disco Era Enterprise doesn't have them, but I think that it adds just a level of detail to the saucer without straying away from how it should look. And now from the top and the bottom, like we have a nice transition of layers to really help give that curve that the Enterprise saucer is known for both the up and lower side. Is it perfect? No. But I think that all things considered, this is about as perfect as I'm going to be able to get it. But anyway, I think that's going to wrap up episode 81 of the Disco Era Enterprise tutorial. If you enjoyed today's episode, please help me out by hitting that like and subscribe button. I can't thank you enough for it. Everybody that takes the time to watch my videos, that comments, that likes them, thank you so much for the time that you take on my channel. It really does mean a lot, and you're the reason why I'm putting out all this content and why so much more content is to come. If you can help me out, if I can ask just one more favor of you and just share these videos, I would be forever grateful for that. But don't forget to tune in tomorrow for episode 82, the final episode of the Disco Era Enterprise tutorial. And man of my word, the last thing that we're going to do on this build is the registration numbers. I think that is appropriate, and tune in for that. And in fact, you can always catch my new Minecraft episodes Tuesdays through Fridays. There will be a gap next week in those, but after that, we should be starting up with the resuming normal episodes on Minecraft. But I will have episode 4 of the Enterprise D mock tutorial, the last episode of that, coming up on Tuesday. And you can always catch my new Starship Evo builds on Mondays. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for me. Just want to thank you again for tuning into today's video. I hope everybody has a happy and safe week and a great weekend, and I will catch you all in the next episode.